How would it feel to marry your classmate when you both hate each other like cats and dogs? Saito is a rich, smart, and handsome young man who really dislikes girls who talk too much. Especially Akane. Akane, the female protagonist, is usually very quiet, but for some reason, she picks fights with Saito every day. His presence is like a pest to her, and she just wants to hit him with a slipper. Akane is always irritated by every action Saito takes. Even something as simple as writing in a notebook that no one even reads. Himari, Akane's best friend, feels sorry for Saito because he's always fighting with Akane. Whenever they argue, only Saito's cousin, Sati, is the one to comfort him. Sati is extremely cute, making everyone admire her. Seeing Akane fight with Saito all the time, Himari guesses that Akane might secretly like him. Akane insists that even if he were the last guy on Earth, she wouldn't care. After school, Saito is invited by his wealthy grandfather to hang out, but he turns it down because he has to register for his anime tribe channel. His grandfather plans to pass on the family business to him, so he advises Saito to try and win his favor. However, Saito has heard this advice from his grandfather many times. Despite this, he is forcibly dragged into a car by the bodyguards to meet his grandfather, Hojo Tenryu, who had saved the Hojo Corporation during difficult times and made it powerful. Saito is curious about where his grandfather is taking him, but the bodyguards stay silent, increasing the suspense. When they arrive at the meeting point, Saito runs into Akane, the one he dislikes most at school. She is also invited to dinner by her grandmother and, upon seeing Saito, loses all interest. Every time they're near each other, they argue non-stop. At that moment, Saito's grandfather and Akane's grandmother arrive, surprising both of them. They don't understand why their grandparents are together. Afterward, both pairs of grandparents and the two grandchildren go inside to have sushi. Akane can't eat because just seeing Saito makes her lose her appetite. So they start arguing again. Saito's grandfather thinks they're a perfect match, though he doesn't understand why. The grandparents then decide to set up a marriage between Saito and Akane. Both of them are shocked, and the grandparents remind them to get married soon. The story shifts to when Tenryu and Chiyo, their grandparents, were young. They had feelings for each other but couldn't be together because of family arrangements. Tenryu married as per the family's wishes and made his wife happy until she passed away 10 years ago. Chiyo's husband also passed away a while ago, which is why they are now seeing each other. Both grandparents regret not being together in their youth and hope that their grandchildren can fulfill their wish and marry. Akane is the first to refuse, believing you should only marry someone you love, and that involves a romantic proposal. Saito also doesn't like the idea, but after hearing Tenryu's threat of passing on the company to a stray dog if they don't marry, Saito starts to worry. Chiyo says something to Akane that shocks her. The grandparents give them 3 days to make a decision. After dinner, Akane still can't believe she will marry the guy she hates most. While Saito wonders what Chiyo said to Akane, he plans to deal with it, but Akane won't tell him. At school, they are always competing for the top spot in exams, but Akane has never been able to beat Saito, which frustrates her. Later that night, Akane confides in Himari, asking what she should do if forced to marry someone she dislikes. Of course, Himari refuses because she already has a crush on someone. Akane is surprised, and asks Himari about her crush, but she doesn't want to say. Akane admits she's interested in someone in class, but she wishes for a comet to hit him instead. For Akane, marriage isn't such a bad thing since she can share the household costs. But she's more concerned about the physical side of the marriage. Himari suggests they go all the way to have children, which embarrasses Akane. On Saito's side, he's also distressed about marrying a devil, especially when they can't even get along at school, and now they have to live together. His cousin Sati, noticing his frustration, asks what's wrong. Saito tells her about the forced marriage and the threat of his grandfather passing the company to a dog. Sati advises Saito that even if he doesn't inherit the company, she will still support him no matter what. 3 days later, Saito and Akane have to make their decision. They both say at the same time that they will marry. Their grandparents are thrilled, even though they hate each other. They realize there's no other choice if they want to achieve their goals. Saito plans to register and organize the wedding after graduation. But Tenryu insists they marry immediately. The grandparents have already prepared a house for them to live in. And they drive off, leaving Akane shocked. Once they enter the house, the first thing Saito does is lock the door, making Akane think he has bad intentions. Afterward, she becomes even more upset when she sees that the house only has one bedroom with a small bed. Saito calls his grandfather, but Tenryu explains that married couples must sleep together, which shocks Akane. As Saito checks the house for hidden cameras, he finds something unexpected, making Akane think he's planning something bad. Saito tries to explain, but she doesn't listen and even pulls out a pencil to defend herself. As Akane moves her things into the room, she accidentally falls down the stairs. Fortunately, Saito is there to help her, but he's still concerned about her dying, which makes him uneasy. Tenryu prepares a pizza for Saito, but when Akane sees it, she snatches it and runs to her room. After a day of arguing with Akane, Saito is exhausted. This is their first time living with someone of the opposite sex, and it feels cramped. Akane warns Saito not to touch her because she's never been close to anyone. But Saito wants to know why she's marrying him. She doesn't respond, having agreed to endure it for her dream. Saito worries that Tenryu might add a condition to have children, which startles Akane. The next morning, Akane demands that Saito keep their marriage a secret. Fearing social ruin if anyone finds out, Saito promises to keep it a secret. But then Akane decides to attach a recorder to him, making him frustrated. No one could have predicted that the girl Saito hated most in school would become his wife just a few days later. The couple closed the door to talk, but Akane's best friend, Himari, saw them. She was curious why they weren't fighting today and were whispering like a married couple. Akane almost spilled it, asking why they were whispering. But she lied, saying she wouldn't allow Saito to talk to her. While Saito sat down to warm up, his cousin noticed the smell of Akane's shampoo was different today. Not only did she notice the unusual shampoo scent, but she also smelled a woman's scent. She rushed over and slapped Saito, surprising him. Seeing his strange behavior, Saito investigated and found out that he had married Akane. He even knew where both of them lived and about their engagement. Saito quickly covered her mouth, saying he had no obligation to hide their marriage. Akane was upset because Saito got married without consulting her, so if he wanted to keep it a secret, he better start bribing her. For now, she didn't demand anything from Saito, but if he made a wrong move, she would make him pay. Next was gym class. Saito planned to sleep after class, so Akane scolded him, saying he needed to clean the equipment after class. But Saito complained that the next class could clean it, though Himari and Akane already helped him. Akane scolded him further, wondering what would happen if a meteorite fell and the students tripped on the equipment. Saito just shrugged, thinking it was ridiculous. But when the two were arguing like cats and dogs, their classmates started teasing them, calling them a couple of comedians. Himari had to explain that they weren't actually married, though it was starting to seem like it. When Akane got home after school, she was shocked to see the fridge full of fruit juice that Saito had bought yesterday. The drink was full of vitamins, and he also bought a box of instant noodles. Cheap and time-saving. For protein, Saito bought synthetic protein powder and mixed it with the fruit juice to make a nutritious drink. Akane never expected that smart people could come up with such ideas. After preparing it, Saito offered his wife a taste, but Akane refused, calling it disgusting. This hurt Saito's pride because he had spent a lot of time getting used to the taste of this chemical drink. If he continued drinking like this, he'd be in trouble. So Akane decided to show Saito what real cooking was like. She went to the kitchen and made a delicious omelette. Saito, who was hungry, thought this meal would make him emotional, but he couldn't shake the suspicion that Akane might have poisoned the food. Akane waited for a compliment, but when Saito said it was just normal, she thought he didn't like her cooking and got upset, refusing to feed him anymore. However, Saito still finished the meal she made, though he didn't eat the person who made it. The next morning, Akane woke Saito up for school, but he mistook it for a visit from his cousin and hugged her. As a result, he got slapped by Akane. Moreover, she scolded him for not washing the dishes after eating. Saito often left the dishes in a pile, letting them stack up until they were as high as a mountain. Akane was furious, but she was even more shocked when she found out that Saito only threw out the trash once a month and advised her not to mind the mess. Saito told her to stop worrying about it, which left Akane speechless. That night, Saito played a game loudly, which bothered Akane, making it hard for her to concentrate on studying. She was even more surprised when she saw him playing a terrifying horror game. Despite reducing the volume to 40%, she couldn't tolerate it, so the two started arguing again. The result was that the wires got unplugged, and Saito was shocked, unable to finish his game. Every day living with Akane felt like a battle, so Saito decided to soak in the hot tub to recover for tomorrow's fight. But when he opened the bathroom door, he saw Akane in the tub and quietly left. He thought she had fainted, so he went back to check, but overheard her talking badly about him in her sleep, which made him furious. Seeing that Akane wasn't responding, Saito tried to lift her, but she was too heavy, causing him to fall flat on his face. His fall woke Akane up, and she saw them both laughing and hugging, calling him a pervert. Saito tried to explain but knew Akane wouldn't believe him. She just thought he was acting weird. Akane was so angry she almost cried, even demanding to kick Saito out of the house. After bathing, Akane thought for a moment and realized she had fallen asleep in the tub because she was so exhausted from fighting with Saito. Maybe Saito just wanted to help her. That night, Akane decided to apologize, but being shy, she couldn't bring herself to do it. Meanwhile, Saito turned off the light, giving her no chance to explain. The next morning, Akane went to school looking exhausted and asked Himari how to get along with someone she hated. Himari instantly guessed it was about Saito, but Akane denied it. If they kept arguing like this, Akane would go crazy. Himari suggested that Akane try giving Saito a hug, but Akane thought that was impossible. She believed that some people, like certain animals, just couldn't get along. However, Himari remained optimistic, thinking that Akane and Saito could make it work. Akane couldn't imagine it, but Himari believed Saito and Akane just needed to compromise. That evening, Saito wanted them to talk, but Akane didn't seem interested. However, to prevent a divorce, both decided to set some ground rules to avoid more arguments. First, about the house chores. Since their marriage, Akane had done everything. Saito wanted to help, but he preferred to pile everything up and clean it all at once, which led to disagreements. Remembering Himari's advice, Saito decided to wash the dishes every day, which surprised Akane. When it came to physical contact, Saito wanted Akane to accept that their bodies might touch on the bed. She called him a pervert, but Saito explained that it was inevitable with their small bed, so she reluctantly agreed. However, she made him promise not to touch her while she was dressed. They also made more rules, including showing gratitude to each other, which Akane remembered when Saito criticized her cooking. Saito had explained that it was normal food, which was actually a compliment. He spent a whole week explaining it, hoping Akane would understand. That night, Akane told Himari that they had talked, though they hadn't fully worked things out. When Saito walked in, Akane was trying to act charming, but he remained cool and composed. The next morning, Saito brought Akane her favorite cake as a thank you, which surprised her. Saito had a great memory and remembered she had written about it in her first-year journal. Even though it was just a small note, Akane was happy and thanked him, causing Saito to blush. Later, Akane made a big dinner for Saito and was pleased when he praised her cooking. When Saito was washing the dishes, Akane offered to help, which made him confused. As usually, she would have yelled at him, but this time, she was considerate, making Saito notice how cute and kind she could be. He had never really paid attention to her usual frown, but when she smiled, she looked so cute and kind. Saito was sitting in the living room reading when Akane suddenly invited him to watch a movie together. The movie was called 24 and Saito's face turned pale in fear. But Akane assured him it was 1440 minutes. not 24 hours. Saito was speechless, wondering if 1,440 minutes wasn't equivalent to 24 hours. The tape even had a 3-hour-long cut. So Saito quickly agreed. Akane was thrilled because the movie had a lot of cute scenes. While Saito ended up falling asleep without realizing it, Akane insisted that he watch a movie with her. But next time, she promised he could pick the movie. Saito preferred playing video games. But Akane swore she would never touch one. However, 30 minutes later, both were playing and having a lot of fun. When it was time to sleep, these two enemies shared many intimate actions. Saito wanted Akane to pick a game next time, while Akane asked Saito to call her by her first name instead of using her last name, feeling that using her last name sounded sarcastic. So, from that moment on, they officially called each other by their first names at home. The next morning, Akane picked up an eraser that had fallen on the floor for Saito, which left Himari feeling confused. Recently, she noticed that Akane was arguing with Saito less often and wasn't as quarrelsome as before. Also, Akane had started calling Saito by his first name, which made Himari unsure how to explain it and had to walk away. Saito was looking for books in the library when Akane, mischievously, pressed her wet hands against his eyes, claiming she was helping him wash his eyes. She proudly acted like she had done something significant for him. Akane was puzzled as to why Saito, who was so cool, was reading a book on communication from scratch, trying to speak with her more. Later, Saito approached Akane to start a conversation, making her squirm since they were at school. He invited her to go shopping together after school, which almost made Akane shout, "Date." So, Saito dragged her into a private room to keep their secret. However, Akane misunderstood and thought Saito wanted to do something inappropriate. He quickly explained that they were only going shopping, not going on a date, and the two of them came up with 100 excuses to avoid admitting that they were dating. After school, Akane was about to meet Saito when Himari invited her to go back home together. Today, the store was selling a type of cake Akane liked, and Himari wanted to go get it with her. Even though Akane really wanted to eat the cake, she had to refuse because she had plans to meet someone. Himari insisted on meeting this person, but Akane said she already knew who it was and didn't need to explain. In her mind, that person was undoubtedly Saito. Was the two of them dating? This thought made Akane explain herself repeatedly, and Himari, being naive, believed her. After avoiding Himari's questions, Akane stepped on a coconut shell and stumbled. Akane was in a hurry and didn't have time to play with Saito. But before she left, she wanted to know what activities Saito and Akane were doing together. Every time Saito's name was mentioned, Akane got embarrassed and quickly ran off, repeating to herself that they were only shopping together, not dating. Then, they went to the convenience store near their house to buy groceries. First, they picked up eggs and green onions because they were running out. Saito grabbed one box of eggs, but Akane wanted to get the cheaper one next to it, saving 20 yen, which was more suitable for their family's budget, even though Saito was rich. Then they headed to the discounted meat section, where Akane charged ahead and was kicked out by the elderly ladies. Seeing this, Saito joined in and received the same treatment. Akane was disappointed at herself for being so useless, while Saito had no idea why he was there. Despite all that, they still had fun together, and Akane hoped they could try harder next time. Saito, though, was unsure if he could turn her down after seeing her face. After the shopping trip, Saito felt that Akane would eventually become a good wife, which made Akane embarrassed since they were already married. That night, Akane woke up to find Saito trying to make a move on her. He explained that he just wanted to pinch her cheek because her face looked too cute while she was asleep. Akane was shocked, like a fish caught on a hook, but she allowed him to touch her cheek. Just a little bit. Then, she went back to sleep as if nothing had happened, leaving Saito with a strange feeling. The next morning, they both acted like nothing had occurred. After spending a night together, they felt like they were walking on air. Akane made some bread for breakfast, and Saito forgot to put on his shirt before going out, so he bought a huge strawberry cream bread to share with Akane. Himari saw them and quickly assumed they were dating. Akane explained that Saito was just following her around and that they weren't actually going out together. As for the bread, Akane accidentally dropped half of it, and Saito picked it up and ate it, which made her feel a little angry. Later, Akane had to stay up late studying for a test, and Saito, concerned, told her to go to bed. But Akane thought he was mocking her poor grades and kicked him out. Afterward, Saito made her a strawberry sandwich, which made Akane so surprised that she promised herself she'd only eat one bite. But it tasted so good that she ended up studying all night. From then on, every time Akane stayed up late studying, Saito would prepare food for her. Recently, Akane had been pushing herself too hard and ended up falling asleep in the hallway. Luckily, Himari appeared just in time. Himari knew Akane had been overworking, so she advised her to take it easy. But Akane was determined to never give up until she defeated Saito. Even if it took 100 years, she was determined to make Saito quit. Even though they only had 1 year left before graduation. As usual, Saito made food for Akane. But this time, he noticed she had fallen asleep at the desk. She felt hot to the touch. So he decided to put her to bed. Saito carefully took care of Akane. But she insisted she needed to study because her dream was worth the effort and her health. Akane wanted to help those who were suffering from illness, which is why she was determined to become a doctor. However, her family couldn't afford her tuition fees, and her grandmother had told her that Saito's family would cover all the costs if she married him. While Saito only had to breathe to be number 1 in every exam, Akane had to constantly push herself but still couldn't beat him, leaving her disappointed in herself. This was also why Akane admired Saito, though she would deny it. After taking Akane's temperature, Saito realized she had a high fever, so he decided to call an ambulance. But Akane stubbornly refused, saying that the ambulance should be reserved for people in more critical condition. She couldn't forgive herself if someone died because they had to wait for the ambulance. In the end, Saito changed his mind and called a taxi to take her to the hospital. Unfortunately, no taxis were available at that hour, so Akane urged him to sleep since they still had to go to school the next day. But with his wife so sick, Saito couldn't ignore it. He decided to carry her to the hospital in the middle of the night, which surprised Akane. Now he understood her dream and how far she would go for it. Saito was forced into this marriage with someone he hated, something he never wanted, but he believed that one day, this marriage would have a happy ending. It turned out Akane only had a cold and recovered after a week. Life for the newlyweds returned to normal. Saito played back a recording of Akane saying she admired him when she had a high fever, and he teased her about it. In today's test, Saito scored 100 as usual, and Himari took the opportunity to talk to him. She teased Saito with some flirtatious gestures, making him feel embarrassed. After Himari left, Akane gave Saito a stern reminder that he was already married and shouldn't get close to other girls. For some reason, Saito now found his wife incredibly cute, which made him want to go crazy. Akane kept following Saito around like a ghost, making him think today was his last day on Earth. But it turned out she just wanted to give him the bento he forgot at home. Saito acted as though a war was about to break out. Akane had put a lot of effort into making it, hoping that Saito would eat it all. Even though she had already eaten 3 bowls of rice this morning, she was still hungry and wanted to eat the food Saito's wife had prepared. Saito immediately had to shut her down, so Akane used her ultimate cute move to ask Saito, which made the whole class call him stingy. At that moment, Himari noticed that Akane and Saito's bentos looked exactly the same. Could it be that they were dating? Both of them quickly explained to the class that it was just a coincidence and that they weren't dating, even though they were married. While Saito was arguing with some classmates, Akane finished Saito's bento, and without any shame, she claimed that Saito should thank her for saving him from a disaster. Saito knew she was hungry, so she ate, but thanks to Akane, no one in the class would gossip about the two of them anymore. Inside, Saito was still concerned about their marriage. As Saito was walking down the hallway, Himari suddenly jumped in and started chatting with him, teasing him about his relationship with Akane. Saito, being already married, stayed calm and looked handsome. When Himari asked about the bento earlier, Saito explained that it was just his frozen bento from home, and maybe Akane copied his style. He assured her that they weren't dating. Hearing this made Himari strangely happy, and the conversation was overheard by C. That night, Akane was sleeping when she heard a strange noise and screamed, making Saito think their house was under attack by zombies. When Saito realized his wife was afraid of ghosts, he coldly went back to sleep. leaving Akane to scream. If she didn't solve her ghost problem, she wouldn't let him sleep. So, she had to borrow his shoulder. By morning, Akane was still haunted by the ghost and had to crawl into Saito's office to feel safe. Saito didn't believe in ghosts, so he told her to take a picture of it. But Akane claimed that the ghost would curse her phone if she took a photo, which left Saito speechless. Akane used the excuse of protecting Saito from the ghost to study in his room but then kicked him out. When Saito went to the bathroom, Akane, with her usual quirky behavior, begged him not to close the door, saying dogs also go to the bathroom in front of others. That evening, Akane invited Saito to shower with her, but he was only allowed to stand outside and guard. When she didn't get a response from Saito, she rushed outside, saying he wasn't allowed to join. Akane, annoyed by being disturbed all day, was exhausted by the time they went to school. Saito immediately realized that his brother was troubled by something related to his wife, so she hoped Saito would talk to her. Saito then explained that Akane was scared of ghosts in the house, and C decided to play detective to investigate. For that, she needed to go to Saito's house. C came over and bluntly asked Akane if she had married Saito, which caused both of them to freak out and have to hide her to avoid being exposed. Akane was angry that Saito told C about their marriage, but then she realized that since they were family, it was only natural for C to know. C agreed with Akane that their house was haunted by a spirit, and if they didn't deal with it, Akane's grades would drop by 50, which terrified her. C, having examined the house, announced that it was cursed and that Akane's scores would go down if not resolved. She believed the house would soon descend into the afterlife. Akane panicked, and C's first stop was Saito's study. Even though he didn't often study there, C guessed that Saito must have hidden in that room to read. Akane scolded him, calling him disgusting, especially since every time Saito's cousin came to visit, he hurriedly packed up his books. But what C found in the room was a pair of Saito's underwear, which she sniffed and acted like it was something perverse, even though it just smelled like detergent. The next room C investigated was Akane's, where Akane didn't want others to see her underwear, so she assured C that her room was safe. Akane then explained that she had seen a shadow, which looked like a child, and when she screamed, it disappeared. After some logical reasoning, C concluded that the ghost Akane saw was actually her, which shocked both of them. A few days ago, C had asked Saito for the key to his house because she didn't want to disturb the couple's intimacy, so she secretly snuck in. Akane screamed that they hadn't done anything intimate, and Saito warned C to notify him next time before coming over. After solving the mystery, C wanted to thank Akane by having dinner with them. C complimented Akane's cooking, saying it was excellent, and Akane couldn't resist her cuteness, so she invited C to stay for dinner. As they ate, Saito gently wiped some rice from C's cheek, which looked very intimate and made Akane feel jealous. After dinner, Saito and C played video games together, which made Akane feel even more jealous. When Akane learned that Saito and C had showered together when they were kids, her jealousy flared up. Saito, noticing her frustration, decided to play along. That night, C decided to stay over, so Saito lent her his blanket and game console. Akane had a lot to say to Saito, but with C around, she couldn't. Akane knew that Saito had bought a cat game for her, and she wanted him to teach her how to play it earlier. She wanted to be the first to play it, but Saito was worried it might affect her studies. As usual, they started arguing about it, and every day, arguing with Saito seemed to lighten Akane's mood. Later, Akane wondered if Saito was taking care of C too much, but Saito explained that he had to be cautious around her, as she could easily pick up stones and throw them. Akane didn't understand why this bothered her so much. Then, they both felt something odd under the blanket and blamed each other for inappropriate behavior. C suddenly emerged from between them, and Akane couldn't sleep because she was used to being with Saito every time she visited. She didn't want to let go of him, but C thought Akane was jealous and wanted to sleep with Saito. She reluctantly explained that it was just a rule set by their grandparents when they married. But C thought Akane wanted to sleep separately from Saito, so she decided to sleep on the floor to not interfere with their intimacy. Saito soon realized Akane had been jealous all this time. And later, when he went to sleep, C talked to Akane about it, advising her to be honest with Saito. C reassured Akane that with a wife like her, Saito would be in good hands. However, as soon as Saito went to sleep, C snuggled up to him, leaving Akane frustrated. Akane used to be a difficult person to approach when she was younger, so she didn't have any friends. However, Himari really wanted to be friends with Akane. In response to Himari's enthusiasm, Akane didn't want to be friends with her because she needed time for studying. Still, Himari kept trying to make friends with Akane through sweets. And since Akane was a sweet tooth, she couldn't easily refuse. Today, Himari invited Akane out to a cafe to chat. There, Himari confessed to her that she had a crush on Saito, which surprised Akane like a fairy tale. Himari liked everything about Saito, especially how cool he looked. One time, when her friend passed out from heatstroke, Saito remained calm and handled the situation, making Himari fall for him completely. Akane thought it was just Saito showing off, but then realized that it was this very quality that saved her life. Besides Saito's confidence, Himari liked other things about him, like how he'd check on her whenever she felt down. Since Akane was very close to Saito, Himari hoped Akane could help her win Saito's heart. Upon hearing how much Himari liked Saito, Akane couldn't bring herself to refuse her friend. From then on, she would help Himari understand Saito more, even though she herself didn't understand her own husband very well. So, that whole day, Akane followed Saito around from home to the streets and even during meals. When Saito started eating, Akane started observing him so intensely that he couldn't bring himself to eat. When he asked why, Akane mischievously said she wouldn't tell him even if he were dying. After some back and forth, Akane directly asked Saito what type of girl he liked, only to find out that he didn't have any specific ideal type. As for food, Saito liked steak, particularly rare steak, but Akane mistakenly thought he liked it raw with raw garlic on the side. The next morning, Akane listed all of Saito's preferences, which shocked Himari, as she never imagined he liked raw food. Akane also mentioned that Saito liked to read books in bed before sleeping, which made Himari curious. She asked if Akane snuck into Saito's bed to know all this. But Akane, in a fluster, quickly dodged the question. Himari believed her and trusted her. Saito thought Akane was asking about his preferences to make steak for him. But instead, dinner that night was just fish. Akane didn't realize how much Saito liked steak, so she decided she would take responsibility and cook steak for him. Akane really loved the twilight hour because everything seemed blurry, making her want to go back home, which reminded her of the food her mother used to cook. Saito, however, didn't feel the same way and didn't tell her why because it would take too long to explain. That evening, when Saito tasted the steak, he could only swallow his saliva, and when he tried a bite, he praised Akane a lot, which made her suspicious because it sounded like a proposal. Despite their marriage, Saito finally complimented her cooking, so she decided to make him many more delicious meals. The next day, Himari directly asked Saito what kind of girl he liked. His answer was exactly the same as when Akane had asked him, in love. There is no ideal type because you can't truly like someone unless you understand them. Himari liked Saito because he thought in a way no one else did, which made her feel that none of the guys who had confessed to her in the past understood her. Just before class started, Himari asked Saito one last question. If someone knew Saito well, would they know that person liked him? Then she leaned in close to his ear and asked what he thought of her. Afterward, she became embarrassed and quickly ran off. Hiding under the desk, Saito had heard the entire conversation and, feeling embarrassed, decided to confront her about it. That evening, while Saito was playing a game, Akane snuck into his study to investigate. Before Saito could ask anything, Akane quickly explained that she wasn't being sneaky but just wanted to borrow some books to read. Saito, not suspecting anything, tossed her a book titled Understanding the History of Mankind Through Food and Weapons. Himari had already seen that book in the library, but she didn't understand it. Akane apologized for not being able to help Himari much, but thanks to it, She now had a reason to ask Saito to explain. Afterward, Himari went to Saito to talk. And Saito was happy to help her because he felt indebted to her for stepping in to save him. Himari hoped the two of them would reconcile, as Akane was a good person. When they were in elementary school, Akane had saved Himari from bullies. Perhaps it was because of her unique blonde hair that Saito didn't feel the same way about it. Thinking many people who dyed their hair blonde looked bad. But it suited Himari. This made Himari remember how Akane had once complimented her golden hair. And she realized she owed Akane a lot. Watching Saito talk with Himari, Akane felt an indescribable emotion. At that moment, Himari unintentionally struck at the core of Akane's heart, causing her to explain that she had never seen that look on Himari's face. So she eavesdropped on their conversation. Himari, noticing that Akane was jealous, then teased her by saying that Saito and Himari would make a good couple. But Akane insisted that Saito wasn't right for Himari, even though she wouldn't oppose them if they ended up together. After school, Himari thanked Akane and then jokingly invited her to a luxurious dessert party at home. Akane tried to refuse because she was living with Saito, but Himari seemed upset, thinking Akane didn't want to invite her over. To remedy the situation, Akane asked Saito to temporarily leave the house so Himari could visit. Saito, feeling partially responsible for not keeping Himari quiet, reluctantly agreed. However, before they could discuss it further, Himari, too eager, decided to arrive earlier than planned. When she arrived at the door, Akane urgently asked Saito to disappear from the house so Himari wouldn't find out. The first thing Himari asked when entering was whether Akane would mind if she invited Saito to go on a date. If Akane liked him, she would step back, but Akane, though she liked Saito, also cared a lot for Himari. Akane tried to defend herself, but Saito overheard everything. The next day, Himari asked Saito to go on a date with her, and while Saito didn't mind it, he didn't immediately give an answer. Later, Akane overheard their conversation again and was caught by Cici asked if Akane was truly okay with Saito dating Himari. If Akane couldn't face her feelings, C would expose them. C's words made Akane realize what she truly felt. That night, Saito told Akane about Himari's invitation, asking if she was really okay with it, since they were already married. But Akane, in her usual manner, thought they were forced into this marriage. Saito then assured her that it was his right to date anyone. The next morning, as Saito was about to leave the house, Akane unexpectedly started crying. She didn't want him to go and realized that just thinking about him being friendly with another girl made her heart ache. This made Saito realize that Akane didn't dislike him as much as he had thought. He smiled happily, knowing that he had already turned down Himari's offer. Akane, upon learning the truth, felt both frustrated and relieved. To make up for it, Saito decided to take Akane to buy wedding rings. Even though Himari had been turned down for a date, she remained friendly with Saito and promised to keep trying to win his heart. Akane, overhearing this, vowed not to lose to Himari, though she never expected herself to say such a thing. After learning that Saito liked raw meat and raw garlic, Himari made a bento full of these ingredients, making Saito drool. He couldn't understand how Himari knew his favorite foods, but then he remembered the only person who could be the culprit. He intended to refuse the meal, but with Himari's adorable appearance and the pressure from the classmates, it was hard for him to say no. So, Saito ate the food, devouring it like a dog chewing a bone. Once he started eating, he couldn't stop, which made Akane incredibly jealous. Himari, knowing Akane's tendency to act possessive, tried to feed Akane too, almost turning Saito into a bug in a flower garden. While the group was having fun, C finished both bentos, leaving everyone surprised. Lately, Himari had been struggling with math, so she asked Saito to tutor her. When Saito agreed, Himari quickly invited him to her house since her parents were out. He thought Himari was teasing him, but she promised she would only stop if she could make him fall for her. Seeing the two of them whispering made Akane feel a little jealous. And unable to hold it in, she jumped into their conversation, warning Himari about the danger of being with Saito, thinking he would try something. But Himari was too interested and actually liked the idea, so she brushed Akane's concerns aside. Akane kept trying to warn her friend not to get involved with Saito, offering her a list of reasons why it wouldn't work. Himari, thinking Akane was just being protective, invited her to study together. The top 2 students in the school would help Himari move up to 3rd place. Surprised, Akane agreed, and the 4 of them decided to study at Akane's house because it was bigger. When they arrived at Akane's house, Saito asked Himari what she didn't understand, and Himari admitted she didn't understand certain parts of the lessons. This left the 3 of them speechless. Akane recalled that Himari's grades had been slipping since grade 9, so they decided to start tutoring from the basics, specifically from grade 9 math. After some effort, Himari managed to solve the problems, praising Saito for being better than their teachers, which made Akane jealous. Himari, too excited, hugged Saito, almost making Akane explode with jealousy. They decided to take a break, and Saito agreed to play a game of flipping cards, where the person who flips more pairs wins. Saito dominated, as usual, with his extraordinary memory, leaving the other 2 in the dust. In the afternoon, Saito went out to buy some snacks, and Akane followed him, claiming she was worried he'd run off. Akane admired Saito's memory but also found it a bit scary. Everyone in the Hojo family had a special talent, and Saito's was his perfect memory. C's talent was mental arithmetic. Saito could remember others' information so well that it made people think he was stalking them. Akane was envious of Saito's ability because if she had a perfect memory, studying would be easier, and she could impress others. While the newlywed couple went out to buy food, the 2 at home started playing Saito's zombie shooting game. Himari didn't remember that Akane liked horror games, so she lied, claiming it was her father's game. While they were drinking tea, Himari continued relentlessly teasing Saito, and Akane just watched her best friend flirt with her husband in frustration. Himari accidentally knocked over a coffee cup, and Saito quickly ran to get a napkin. This made Akane wonder how Saito knew where Akane kept her things. Saito explained it was just because he had seen it before, and Himari believed him. While Himari went to the bathroom, Akane blamed Saito for wanting Himari, accusing him of deliberately spilling the coffee. Saito was so annoyed that he didn't bother to respond. Just then, the lights went out in the house, and Akane, frightened, immediately hugged Saito. She asked him if he preferred the kind of girl like Himari. Saito didn't understand what Akane meant, but to him, Akane was perfect just the way she was. He had to be careful, though, as he knew she had a temper, so he avoided saying too much. He thought Akane was the most troublesome person in the world, but he didn't hate it. When the power came back, Himari came out and saw the 2 of them embracing, causing Akane to scramble for an explanation. The next day, Saito suspected that C had deliberately cut the power, but she denied it. Just then, Himari came to ask the couple for help, as she still didn't understand some parts. Akane also asked Saito to help her with some studying at home, making both of them blush in embarrassment. That night, Saito helped Akane with her studies, and she had to admit that his methods were quite effective. Despite it being late, Akane insisted Saito keep helping her, wanting to make sure she was ready to become a doctor. But Saito still wanted to know why she wanted to become a doctor. Akane explained that her younger sister had always been sick and bedridden, and her parents worked tirelessly to pay for her medical bills. She hated the feeling of helplessness when her sister asked her to save her. Saito now understood why Akane wanted to become a doctor so badly. Akane wanted to do whatever she could to stop others from crying, especially since her sister had passed away. Saito mistakenly thought her sister had died, but Akane didn't correct him. Akane also didn't care much for idol shows, likely due to her sister's situation. Recently, Akane had been feeling down, so Saito sought advice from C. He had inadvertently brought up Akane's sister, which made him feel responsible. C suggested that Saito take Akane out on a date, maybe to a cat cafe, to help her bring out her feminine side. Since Saito had no experience, C offered to practice by going out with him. When they got home, Saito invited Akane out on a day off, which surprised her. They could go see a movie and visit a cat cafe. Just thinking about it made Akane excited. even though it felt like she was going on a date for the first time. That night, Akane spoke with her grandmother to see if it was really a date. And hearing her grandmother's emotional response brought tears to her eyes. Akane was ready to make the most of it. The next morning, Akane wore a new outfit, making Saito stop in his tracks. Before leaving, Akane insisted that since they were already married, it wasn't technically a date. Saito planned to take Akane to the cat cafe, but she refused, saying she was too obsessed with the animals. They ended up going to a karaoke room instead, making Akane think Saito was trying to do something inappropriate. Even though they lived together, Akane was still uncertain about his intentions. As they sang, Saito bought them some fruit juice, and Akane wanted to share the drink with him but was worried it might feel like a kiss. Eventually, she handed him the drink. Feeling a little confused, Akane couldn't understand why Saito invited her out, especially since he was usually so practical. Saito explained that he wanted to cheer her up because he had reminded her of her late sister. This made Akane happy, and she decided to follow Saito wherever he went. What Akane didn't expect was that Saito would take her to a health supplement store. And he drank so much that it was like he didn't need water anymore. On the way home, Akane noticed a ring and wondered if it was unnecessary to wear it, thinking high school students didn't need such things. But after the date, Akane thanked Saito, saying she was really happy. She was surprised at how different she looked when she was angry compared to when she smiled.